Vice President Biden is out there on the stump. He's trying to get voters to, of course, vote for the Biden-Obama ticket in 2012. He's working as a surrogate for the Obama campaign. And as usual, he steps in it. You know, look, you do it once, you do it twice. You mean well, but you say the wrong things, and you're a little bit of an embarrassment. You say this, and I begin to wonder if you're that bright, okay? Here's what he said during his speech. You can go back 500 years. You cannot find a more audacious plan than the plan to kill Osama bin Laden. Never knowing for certain, we never had more than a 48% probability that he was there. Now, look, killing Osama bin Laden, great, fantastic, we all celebrated it. And sometimes the Republicans do insane things like try to say, oh, President Obama didn't want to get bin Laden. Well, he had a curious way of showing it by killing him, right? So we're not going into that nonsense argument. And in fact, the plan was brave in that he could have just done a bombing, but then we wouldn't have known for sure. The fact that he sent in troops to actually land there and get bin Laden was brave and courageous by the president, politically and otherwise, right? Was it the most audacious plan in 500 years? You got to be kidding, Joe. Really? How do you say something like that, man? So it was more audacious than when the founding fathers got together and were like, yeah, let's start a revolution against the British monarchy. Oh, by the way, if we don't succeed, which is highly likely, we'll all be killed. That was a fairly audacious plan. Oh, by the way, let's start a democracy. Let's start the first secular nation ever. Let's do all these things that have never been done before. But ordering the killing of the most wanted terrorists in the world was more audacious? Come on, Biden, what are you doing, man? I mean, this feeds into the idea that you not only do you say crazy things, but I don't even know how somebody could think that and verbalize it. I mean, if I said that accidentally, I could see that happening by accident. I'd say, wow, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean 500 years. I meant like the last 5 months. 500 years? All right, I can go on and on with the examples that are a little bit more audacious.
Well, can I challenge it a little bit? I get what you're saying, because it doesn't make any sense, obviously. I mean, but the fact that it was the biggest thing, at least for what people think about now, he's using some hyperbole for it, which is fine. I think when it comes to political realms, you can go crazy, go over the top, and just because it's not actually true, who's it hurting? Because that's the thing, and that's what's hard. We're so talking about general thoughtful progressives. You think about it, see, that doesn't make any sense. But if a conservative says it, they're just rallying up their base, and nobody's really caring that much.
No.
And so we kind of go after when he's just saying something over the top. What's it really hurting?
No, I totally disagree with that. Look, when Bachmann says stupid things like that, we rip her to shreds, and a lot of people in the mainstream media talk about it. To be fair, right? And then Bachmann eventually has a reputation for being stupid, because she is. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She thinks Paul Revere was warning the Russians or whoever. No, that was Sarah Palin. Okay. And so they say these outrageous, outlandish things, and eventually they get a reputation for not knowing what they're talking about. The same is true of Biden. You keep saying stupid things, people are beginning to wonder if you're stupid. And it's totally fair to say. JR, you want to pump up the crowd, you want to say over-the-top things, at least say it in a sensible way where people don't go, really? I think even people in this speech must have thought, really? The most audacious plan in the last 500 years to kill the guy that everybody in the world wanted to kill?
Yeah, I mean, I think if he specifically said, you know what, not the founding of this country compares to it. I mean, because that's something that Michelle Bachmann would say. Not that she'd say that, but that's the degree. They'd specifically go after something and say it doesn't mean anything compared to what I just did.
No. Last thing on that front, Jared, is that, look, I believe that you fight fire with fire. I think that if the Republicans are unreasonable in their negotiation tactics, et cetera, you got all rights in the world to do likewise, okay? But the way to fight them is not stupid with stupid. So I'm not in favor of this. And Biden goes on. Do any of you have a doubt that if that raid failed, this guy would be a one-term president? I mean, this one's not nearly as outrageous, but I don't agree with it. I mean, if the raid had failed, yes, they would get a world of criticism, but in the end, probably unemployment numbers would have determined who was president. So I guess in that room, they thought they were playing with the presidency and they thought they were being really brave. But again, keep in mind, the way in which they went after it was courageous. But the bottom line is, it's like the most popular thing literally in the country to kill bin Laden. So it's not like they were taking a huge political risk in that sense. And then finally, he says, the thing that I probably disagree with the most, referring to President Obama, this guy is willing to do the right thing and risk losing. Come on, Joe. Come on, Joe. This President Obama. We're talking about President Obama. Later in the show, I'm going to tell you a story about how President Obama was willing to trade away almost every progressive policy that there is in the country for just a slightly better chance of winning. This guy risking things to do the right thing, he wouldn't risk a 2% chance. Now, again, in this case, it's a funny example because in the end, don't get me wrong, you got to give him credit for doing the landing there and not just doing a bombing. All right, and then finally, Biden did make one good point, thanks God. He said, Osama bin Laden is dead and General Motors is alive. Think about it. See, that's a good talking point, okay? That's what you should say over and over again. And probably that's what he was sent to say in the speech, and then he got carried away and started talking about 500 years.